Hello, everyone, and welcome to ATP Live Monday. I hope you can see me and I hope you can hear me. All right, just let me know whether you can see me or you can hear me in the comment section. Um, Welcome to ATP Live Monday. ATP Live Monday is a program where you get to ask any questions that you may have about the health of your children, and then you get to get an answers from the pediatrician live. All right, so welcome everyone. So what I'm just going to do is to share the video, make sure everyone can hear us whichever platform they're watching on. And just with a little bit of music. All right, so just do the same. Help us to share the video. Invite your friends, invite family, invite everyone you know who may have a question for the pediatrician, and then we will try and answer them. And as you're coming in, if you have any question, you can start to drop your question now. I'm just going to also share it at the same time. Welcome to ATP Live Monday. I hope you've had a beautiful day and not so busy. So welcome everyone. I'm just making sure the videos are shared to all the right platforms and everyone can see and they can hear. So as you're coming in, welcome. Feel free to share the video with your friends, with family, with your groups on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on Instagram. Just share, make it go as far as you can. And then if you have any questions about the health of your children, you can start now to drop the questions. And once I'm done with all the sharing and the pinning, and then I can start to answer them. So just give me a couple more minutes to do all the sharing, and then we can start. Welcome to ATP Live Monday. Like I was saying earlier, ATP Live Monday is a program where you get to ask any questions that you have about the health of your children and get immediate answers live from a pediatrician. So that is what ATP Live. Good evening, Peniel. Welcome. I think you're the first person. Where else am I sharing to now? I think I've shared enough. Okay, but let me just make sure they are pinned. Let me see, Instagram people. Are you there? Instagram, I can say you're welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to start to drop your questions. So I'm just making sure the posts are pinned. My internet's a little bit slow today. All right, let me just check which one I'm on. Like I'm on the right internet. All right. Okay, so just a couple more places to share, to pin, and then we can start. But start to drop your questions now. And while we're doing that, a few housekeeping announcements about questions. Please, whenever you're asking questions, start with the age of the child. It is so important for us to know the age of the child. The answers we give sometimes are age dependent. So there are issues that may not be a concern in a newborn baby, but will be a concern in a teenager. So it's so important for us to know the age. And plus, when writing the age, don't say 1, 2, 3. Don't just give a number. Please qualify it completely. So whether it's 1 week or 1 month or 1 year, we need to know, or 1 day, because pediatricians, we see children, we see people across so many categories. So everyone is not a year for us. It may be 1 day old, it may be 1 week old, it may be 1 month old. So we really need to know which one you're referring to so that we are clear. And please, if you're asking question about like weight, your baby is not gaining weight, baby is small, baby looks like a small baby, please just put the weight of the baby. If possible, if you know the birth weight and the current weight, that will quickly give us objective information. And more importantly, please ask a question. Don't just drop information. Thank you, everyone. Instagram, I can see you. Good evening. Good evening. So don't drop information. Just let me know what you want me to do with that information. So ask specific questions like, this is what I want you to do with this information, so that I know what to respond. All right. So I think I'm done with all my public sharing and all that. Okay, so let me quickly welcome you once again. Welcome to ATP Live Monday. I am Bim Salaboide. I'm a pediatrician, and my role this evening is to answer any question that you have about the health of your children, and I'm going to do that in the next 60 minutes. So, but don't worry, if you have any questions after the live session, you can always go to our Facebook groups and post your questions there. We have the Ask the Pediatrician Facebook group, and we have the ATP Family Facebook group. We have FTM, we have the ATP Still Mom. So we have 4 different Facebook groups, but the most common is the Ask the Pediatrician Facebook group, where you can post your question and you will get answers to them as soon as possible. We will say at least not less than 72 hours. Most time we answer your question in 24 hours, depending on who is going to answer, whether it's a common question that any of our moderators can answer, whether it's something that need the specialist, a surgeon, or a pediatrician to answer. But we'll try our best to answer your questions. And if you are watching this program after the live session, so if you're not watching on the Monday 6 p.m. West African time, you are most likely watching a recording or a past episode. Please feel free, don't post your questions as comments. If you are watching a recording or a past broadcast, go to our Facebook group, and that's where you can put your questions there. So once again, you're all welcome. I've not seen any question on Facebook. Let me quickly go to Instagram. I've not seen any question on Instagram as well. So if you have any question, let the question start to roll in now, and so that we can answer them. All right. And just to remind all of us that tomorrow is going to be the Zero Tolerance to FGM Day. I love to talk about it because despite all our campaigns over the years, we're still one of the countries where FGM is still rampant. So we're going to be talking about it tomorrow. Tomorrow is actually the day, but I'm going to be talking about it this Thursday. So if you want to really know more about FGM and why we, the pediatricians and the professionals, are saying no to FGM, you make sure you join ATP Hour on Thursday, 10 a.m. West African time, or you can always watch it as whenever you have time, but to be available live from 10 a.m. West African time. It is zero tolerance to FGM, no FGM. So make sure your children are not circumcised. So I will come back to that later. And if you want to ask questions about FGM now, feel free to ask me question about FGM as well. I will answer them. All right, so I have a question from Instagram. Shefel Girl. She's one of our popular, the most consistent ATPian on Instagram. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to all of you who are watching. Oh no, what's wrong? Okay, yeah. So say good evening. Please, can you educate me more on sensory seeking babies? Is it a neurological disorder? Okay, can you tell me what exactly what is it that your baby does, or the things that you're worried about? I like to have specific information. I don't want to just go by just a big terminology or big words. I really want to be sure what you're saying is what I'm understanding. So if you can be more specific, like what exactly is the child doing, and who told you your baby is sensory seeking, or maybe do you get the information from a professional, or is this something you arrived at by yourself, or and so that I will have clarity on how to answer your question. I hope you can see me on Instagram. I think my Instagram is misbehaving here, but let me just go to my own Instagram, see whether I can see you guys there. So Shifra, um, feel free to clarify your question, and then I can provide answer. Okay. All right. Then the second question, Lolly Spicy Cleaver or Diver, Lolly Spicy Diver. Please, what causes blister on the mouth and jaws? Mouth, lips, and jaw of a 4-year-old, and what are the medication one can use to clear it off? Okay, thank you, Lolly, the Spicy Diver, for the question. Okay, so there are many possible causes of blisters. So it is not a one thing that will cause blisters. So a child can have blister has a viral infection. A popular one is what we call herpes. Herpes labialis, and it can happen. It's a viral infection. A child can have that also if they have other illnesses, even like the usual malaria or any other illnesses. Then the immunity lowers, and then they can develop blisters from previous infections that have kind of stored in the body. Or children can have it even from things like um, vitamin deficiencies and all that. So the solution is not to quickly say this is a drug. In fact, most of the time there's no drug for the blisters per se. The medication is the underlying cause of the blisters. That's what we want to address. So is this child having a viral infection? Is this child having malaria? Is this child having some other problems? Even hand, foot, and mouth disease. There's so many possible things that can present that same way. So what you need to do, and then when you say the jaw, so because the jaw again, that is different, because blisters don't tend to happen on jaw. So if it's a wound that you're seeing on the jaw, that may even be something completely different. Maybe an infection, like what we call impetigo and all those kind of stuff. So we need to know first what is the underlying problem, and that's what we need to address, and then the child will get better. And that is what. So I recommend that you go to the hospital, see a doctor, and let them tell you what they think is the underlying cause, and then they can recommend appropriate treatment. All right, I hope that's helpful. And Shiva Girl is clarifying her question. She says she puts her mouth on my body to suck. Okay, I think you've asked this question before. Yeah. Okay, so I can't remember what I told you then. Some children, it is just an habit for them, and what you really need to do is to distract the child. So if the child is trying to suck on your body, I can't remember the age of your child now, but you really need to tell us the age. And so it's something you may need to distract her from. Instead of the child sucking on you, you want to give the child some other things to play with of the mouth. And children has different ages tend to put things in the mouth. But if the child also has other developmental issue, if this is a child who is also not talking, if it's a child who is also having repetitive behavior and all that, then in that context, we'll start thinking of possible autism spectrum disorder. So it depends on whether it's just an isolated thing that is just more like a napping thing, or is it part of a bigger developmental disability like autism spectrum disorder. So we always need to have a specific information about that child. And if you're really worried about it, if it's really something that is bothering you, then I would recommend that you get your child to see a pediatrician for proper evaluation, because that is the way forward. So it is not the something on your body alone per se that will worry us. It is that, are there other issues also going? Are there other sensory behavior? Is it the same child that is biting on paper, biting on clothes, or biting on non-food items, trying to swallow them, licking soap, licking cream, all those kind of behavior? Then we have to worry. It can also happen in children, for example, who are speaker, but they will eat non-food items and all that. So the solution is about having a full picture of this child, and then we can direct you forward. I hope that's helpful. All right, thank you, Lolly Spicy Diver. All right, so let's go to Facebook. Peniel, my baby will be 3 months in February 23. Birth weight is 3.9. Current weight unknown. Currently, her head is not stable. So, neck control is from 3 to 4 months. So, your baby is not yet 3 months. So, please calm down, Just calm down. There's no reason to be worried about something. I get a lot of questions about parents being worried about their children's developmental milestones, and most of the time, I think we don't know when it is a normal time, and then we start to worry unnecessarily. So to save us from that unnecessary anxiety and worry, you can go to our website. There's an article on what is normal milestone. So if you go to ACP Facebook group, you just search on our group, you will see all the normal. So neck control is 3 to 4 months. Sitting with support, 5 to 6 months. Sitting without support, 7 to 8 months. Sitting crawling, 9 to 10 months. Standing, 11 to 12 months. Walking, 12 months old. And so that is even the average. So maybe can even still do it a little bit later, and it's still within normal. So there is no reason. I get a lot of questions about 7 months old not crawling. I'm not expecting a 7-month-old to crawl. It's 9 to 10 months. And some babies even don't crawl. Neck control is a 3-month-old skill. So if your baby is not yet 3 months old, we don't even need to have that conversation at all. So let the baby be. When your baby is 3 to 4 months, when your baby is after 4 months old, because even 3 to 4 months is still within normal. If your baby is 4 months old and your baby cannot maintain neck control, you can come back and ask us. That's when I will start to worry. But your baby is not yet even at the age of neck control. Can your baby smile? Social smile is 6 to 8 weeks. So that is what I expect for your baby who is still not yet. Because today is 5th of February. Your baby is going to be 3 months on the 23rd. So your baby is more or less like 8 or 9 weeks old. So there's no reason to worry about neck control. What I want to worry about is, can this baby smile? Can this baby follow you with their eyes? That is what I expect for this particular age group. Okay, Zaini Ayaro, I think you are just joining us. Welcome. But one of the things I said that whenever you're asking a question, start with the age of the child. Don't just ask question in silo. We need to understand stomach gas in a baby. What is the age of this baby? Because what I worry about in a 2-month-old would not be the same thing I worry about in a 2-year-old. So please ask a question again and let me know what age of a child that you're worried about. Okay, then Peniel. Okay, Peniel seems to have come for us today. He said concerning lactation, I've watched the video. Okay, I've done virtually everything. Wow. Okay, but not getting enough milk. Maybe you just need to stop worrying, because that's actually one of the things you should do as well. Okay, so she's taking formula. I'm thinking of changing to SMA Gold. I don't know. So for me, Peniel, my recommendation is for you to give a baby breast milk. I'm not going to recommend any of the formula for you, because there's absolutely no reason why you cannot breastfeed your baby. Actually, all the formulas should be prescribed. Usually, it should be prescribed by a pediatrician, and you have to go see us first, because we need to first know why is it that you cannot produce breast milk, and there's absolutely no reason why you cannot produce breast milk. So all you need to do is to relax, take your, drink a lot of water, let your baby suck properly on the breast. Attachment is 98% of the problem. Most of the time, we're not properly attaching our baby to the breast, and you need to stop worrying. And a lot of mothers wonder why I always say stop worrying. It is not just a generic. It's not just a generic kind of recommendation when it comes to breastfeeding. It's actually very important that you stop, because when you are worried, you produce what we call stress hormones. So you produce a lot of cortisol, a lot of hormones that are like, oh, there's a problem. I need to run. I need to fly. I need to get away from here. When those hormones are produced, they work against the breast milk hormones, because breastfeeding is not in your breast. Breastfeeding is from your brain. So it is very important that parents, on the mothers especially, will get that you are breastfeeding from your brain. Okay, there's hormones like prolactin and all those, they are produced in the brain, and these are the hormones that regulate breast milk production, breast milk flowing and all that. So whenever you're worried and you are releasing hormones that are stress hormones, the body takes that breastfeeding is not a priority now. The mother is in danger. The mother is not happy. The mother needs to be safe first. So they shut down breast milk production, and they begin to work on all the what we call the adrenaline, something that will make you to run, something that will make you to fly. Your heart rate is going up. So those are what goes on during that period. So whenever we say rest, don't worry, don't be anxious, it's not because we're just trying to be nice to you. We're actually telling you what is going to make you to lactate. You need to stop worrying and being anxious, because if not, you keep producing those hormones. So no matter how much water or milk or much whatever you drink, because your brain is sending a message that there is a problem here, we are not going to produce breast milk. We're going to produce hormones that will make this mother to deal with her own stress. Then your milk is not going to flow. So that is very important. This is one thing mothers don't get. You get all the other information about, I should drink this, I should drink this, I should eat that. It's not all that alone. For me, the most important thing is for you to actually get into your brain first. One, I can breastfeed my baby. If a mother who has twins can breastfeed exclusively, I have one, I can breastfeed my baby. Tell yourself that so that you have that confidence. There's no reason why you cannot breastfeed your baby. Your body can produce breast milk. So if you tell yourself that and you relax, put your baby to the breast, sleep when your baby is sleeping, eat well, drink well, don't stress yourself about all the problems going on in Nigeria, all the issues around. Honestly, you will find out that your body will begin to relax when you look at your baby, let your baby, when your baby cries, smile, being in the same room with your baby. Those are the things that make breast milk production, because your brain starts getting the message, my baby needs to suck. And then the breast milk is a demand and supply. If you don't push your baby more to the breast and you give formula, the brain gets the message that we don't need to produce as much. See, that's the problem with people who are formula feeding. You are sending mixed messages. You want to breastfeed, but you're also giving formula. Then the brain doesn't get the information that we need a lot of breast milk. Then it's not going to produce more. It's actually going to reduce the production, because there's no room for waste in nature. So those are the things. So if you really want to exclusive breastfeed, then you have to make up your mind you're going to do it, and you have to relax. You need to stop doing the formula. You need to put the baby to the breast as often as possible, because the more the baby sucks, the more the brain gets, oh, we need more, then it's going to produce more. Those are the things that work. So people sometimes watch all these videos, you read all those things, but I think sometimes we're not actually taking in the key messages that is being channel through those, because we are really worried, oh, my baby is going to start, I really need to get something else, and that again is working against breast milk production. So just relax. If you want to do it, you can do it, okay, and you will do it. But if you think you cannot do it, well, it's also your choice, and you're free to feed your baby the way you choose, but that is not what we would recommend. The best way to feed your baby, of course, there's always an alternative, but the best is always the best. So that is what I'm going to say about that. And the formula doesn't really matter which kind of formula you use. Most of them are the same. Most of them are from cow milk, modified, and all that. So I'll just stop that at that level. Okay, let me just take a question from Instagram, because Instagram questions tend to disappear. Lolly say, why does a 19-month-old baby press his navel all the time? It depends. It can be an habit for the child, or it can be something else, depending on where the child presses the tummy. Is what is the child doing? Is the child showing signs of pain? Is the child showing sign of actually pleasure? Because when I press it, I actually like it, So it is not something we're going to automatically know why the child is doing that, because different children are going to do it for different reasons. So if your child does not have a big navel and your child is not in pain, then I'm not going to worry about it. But if there are other issues with it, then that is when you need to see your pediatrician for further assessment. Okay. John, Cornell, good evening. How do we handle constipation? My baby is 10 months old. All right. Okay. So first, what do you mean by your baby is constipated? I always like parents to tell me what they mean, because sometimes we use some words, but we don't really use it the way maybe a professional will actually use the word. So, but just because of time, I'll just define for me what constipation means. Constipation means that your baby is passing hard stools, number one, and the baby is not passing them frequently. Okay, because if your baby is passing normal stool, but the baby is not passing it every day and all that, that is still not constipation. So for it to be constipation, the baby is passing hard, excuse me, hard stools. Let me see whether I have a picture of my stool charts. I don't know whether I've deleted it. I used to, oh, I still have it. So I'm going to show you the picture of the stool chart now. Okay, so we have 5 kind of stool chart. Let me remove your question so that you will see my stool chart. All right, so we have, if you look at the chart, we have about 7 of them. So the first one is those are the very hard to, and they come in like not like pellets, very hard. The child is struggling and struggling, and when eventually they come out, just that small round stuff that you say. Or then you have the type 2 that look like sausage, or it's very lumpy, and with several cracks in between. And then you have the type 3, which look like a sausage, but the cracks are not as much like that of type 2. Okay, so those type 1 to type 3 stools are the stools that you see in a child who has constipation. All right, type 4 is the normal. It looks like a normal, smooth, like a sausage or a snake. Is smooth because it's taking the shape of the intestine or the rectum where it is coming from, and it's smooth, no cracks, no nothing, and it's soft, and the child passes it easily. So we want our children to pass more of type 4 and maybe type 5 too. Type 5 is also soft, but it comes in small, there are cords here and there, but it's still soft stool. By the time you are going to type 6 and type 7 is diarrhea, it's like liquid, stool completely. So usually when you come to us and say your child has constipation, we'll show you this chart and want you to pick which one. How does the baby stool look like? So for constipation, the baby stool will be type 1 to 3. Usually more of even type 1 and type 2 to be fair, and it is so hard and it's so painful. Sorry, I want to remove my let me remove the chart. So I hope all of us have understood that now. So if your child is passing type 1 to type 3 kind of stool, and the child is in pain, personally, and all that, that is constipation. Now, what causes constipation? Number one, this child is not taking enough water. Okay, children at 10 months should be drinking a lot of water. And number 2, they need to take food that are high in fiber, food that have lots of fiber in them. So you have to take a lot of vegetables. They need to take their fruits. So if you are feeding your child with mostly cereals only and nothing else, then those children are going to have constipation. Some of them give them either just milk and cereals all the time, and no water, no fruits, no veggies, then children can have constipation. Of course, some other medical reasons why children can also have constipation, but most of the time it has to do with the diet. It has to do with the diet that is devoid of, vegetables. The child is not drinking enough water, or the child feels the urge to go to the toilet and they don't want to go. Though this won't be applicable to your 10-month-old. So for 10 months old, most likely it has to do with the diets that you're giving the child. Okay, so what you need to do is to work on what the child is. The child needs to take the right kind of diet. You need to make sure your child is still sucking breast. The child still needs to be breastfeeding. The child needs to take water after every feed, and let's make water fun. It's not Ribena, it is not other drinks. The child needs to take normal water. That's what the child should drink. And then you need to make sure you are adding fruits. You are giving them veggies. That's what you should take as their snacks. Fruits, not the usual stuff that people give, all the junk. So that's what you need to work on. So if you are doing the right thing and the child is still constipated, then you need to see us, because we need to know, is there a medical problem? For example, some children have what we call H-prong disease, where they have the nervous supply to some parts of the intestine is not working properly. So when the stools get to that point, it can easily come down, and so that causes it to balloon out, and that will cause a lot of problems. So we sometimes have to handle that, but most of the time it's more of a diet thing. So you need to work on the diet. So 10 months old, if you want to know more how you should feed your 10 months old, you need to go to our website, our Facebook group, and then you can go through the guide to on complementary feeding, the various classes of food, so that you make sure you are doing the right thing in terms of feeding, and then your child should be fine. So I hope that is fine. Joanne wants to have a one-to-one consultation with us. If you want to have one consultation, just send us a WhatsApp message. WhatsApp number should be somewhere on the screen, or let me just type it. Either on the screen or on our Facebook group. I'm sure somebody will be able to send you our WhatsApp number, but let me just type it so everybody will say it. I hope I got it correctly. All right, I think I did. Okay, so that's our WhatsApp number. Okay, so or if you just go to our Facebook group and ask that question, somebody will be able to tell you that. And our consultation is video consultation only. So we don't do clinics, we don't do hospital admission, we don't run an hospital. All right, Ichiwa Holuwayemi say, how do I handle constipation in 2 years? Oh, how come you? Okay, this is interesting that both of you are asking the same question and following each other. So it's the same answer. Okay, the only thing I'm going to add to the 2-year-old, apart from the diet, the water, is make sure that you let them go to the toilet once they feel the urge. So if some children have all these, we babysit children with cartoons, though we've already said no screen time for children below the age of 2 years, but I know that's not what really happens at home. So when children feel the urge, let's let them go immediately. Let them not just keep holding it until then, because each time they hold it, then they stretch their rectum. So it will take a bigger stool for them to get the urge to go to the toilet. So it has to do with the water, it has to do with the fruit. Let's take off all this junk food. Let them eat a lot of vegetables, let them eat a lot of fruits, let them drink a lot of water. That way the stool will not be hard. And if the stools are already hard, especially for these 2-year-old, sometimes we have to forgive them in medication, stool softener, to let out the ones that are there. Because all this information I'm giving you are more of preventing. They are more about preventing the constipation. But if the child is already constipated, and you have to sometimes give them stool softener to get out all those hard stools first, but how to prevent it from happening again is to make sure they are eating food that are rich in fiber. Let's get rid of all these biscuits, pastries, all those things. Those are junk food. Let's get rid of them. Let them eat healthy food, fruits, veggies, drink a lot of water, and they shouldn't be prone to having all this constipation. All right. I hope there's nobody on Instagram that has a question. No. All right. Instagram people ask a question. Oni Huda good morning, good evening. My 8-month-old stand on his toe holding things. Okay, you've not asked a question. What is the question? I just want to know, because I don't always like to make assumptions. So just ask, what is your question? Titi Merriment, protein syrup or protein tablet, which is good for 1 year, 7 months old. If it is prescribed, that is the job of the doctor who prescribed it to tell you what to give. So you have to ask the doctor who prescribed it, okay? And they will be the one to tell you. Or the pharmacy who is dispensing. So I don't have any opinion, whichever one, but I think you should ask whoever prescribed it. I guess most of us know that children who are younger tend to take syrup anyway, because it's difficult to get tablets into them. Not that we can't, it's more difficult. And depending on the quantity of protein and why the protein is even prescribed in the first instance. So I always don't want to get into medication, because it has a lot of implications and all that. So, but just confirm with the doctor who prescribed it what you should do. Okay, so do you want your baby's constipation type 2? Okay, so you've already gotten, I hope you've gotten the answers on what to do for your baby who has constipation. All right, okay. I don't think I have any more questions on Instagram. Just to make sure I didn't miss anybody question. But if I missed your question, sometimes it's an oversight. Just ask the question again, and I will answer them. All right, Facebook, Wi-Fi, honey. My 5 month old baby hasn't pooped for about 5 days. We're on EBF. Is it normal for babies? Yes, the answer it is normal. So babies on exclusive breastfeeding do not pass stools every day. But when they eventually pass the stools are going to be normal. They are going to be soft stool. They won't be hard. They won't be. They will be more like type 5 or 6 in that stool chart. I don't know whether you saw the stool chart I showed to you. So it's more like either thick, soft, or just a little bit of solid mixed with a little bit of liquid. So that is the difference between them and the baby who are not those children who have constipation that we've been talking about. So in children with constipation, they are passing hard stools and they won't pass it every day, or they may struggle to pass it. But babies on exclusive breastfeeding, they are fine. They are sucking well. They are not. They make all this sound when they are passing stool, but it doesn't mean they are straining to pass stool, because, like you will notice, when they eventually pass the stool, it's not hard stool, it's soft stool. So their own straining is not like that of children who have constipation, who are older children, who are straining to pass through, because the stools are so hard, and sometimes it can even cut them, at the opening of the anus and all that, and they will bleed. But this time around, these children just pass normal stool. Their tummy is soft. They are not vomiting. They are not in any distress. So that is normal for babies who are on exclusive breastfeeding, and that is not constipation. That is normal, and just keep breastfeeding your baby exclusively. Okay. Concern about him not standing on his leg properly. Okay. Number one, that's Oni's Udoji. You are completing your question. Your question start with 8 months old standing on his toes. Okay. So number one, most babies don't even stand at 8 months old. And usually when children stand at 8 months old, or whenever they start to stand, they actually can go on their toes first, and that is perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong with that. So eventually they will start to stand on their feet flat. So we're not worried about children toe walking. It is perfectly normal for children to start toe walking first before they start to walk flat. You don't have to worry about that at all. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We only worry about children who go on their toes after the age of 2 years. So by 2 years, children are already walking, and we don't expect them to be going on their tiptoes. So if it's tiptoe walking, persistent tiptoe walking beyond the age of 2 years, that is when it becomes an issue, and that's when we want to see the baby. Otherwise, there's really no reason for that. All right. Chinaza, good evening, doc. Can I add glucose to my baby's pap? It's 1 year, 7 month old. You don't need to add glucose. Just use, if you want to use sugar, use sugar. I don't know why the glucose. If it's just to sweeten the pap, which is if that's your goal, just use the normal sugar. It's okay to use sugar to sweeten children's pap. The question is moderation. Okay, it's moderation, and your 1 year, 7 month old should be eating more family diets, not just pap and milk alone. Now, a 1 year, 7 month old can take pap like the rest of the family when you're taking your pap with your either your moi moi or akara or anything you're taking away. But please make sure that is not the only thing a 1 year, 7 month old is eating. They should be taking variety of food, preferably eating exactly the same thing that the rest of the family is eating. So that's what we expect for a 1 year, 7 months old. But it's absolutely no, it's absolutely fine. Or if you want to be more natural, you can go for things like dates, all the other natural sweetness is fine as well. Okay, let's just take this question from Instagram. Wenola, good evening. What causes mucus in poo for a baby? Notice that for months. Okay, how old is this baby? Birth weight gain is slow, 6 7 kilos and 7 months. Okay, so is already 7 months old now, because your question is so jumbled. I'm struggling to make sense of it. Okay, so your baby is seven. Let me just clarify when on whether we get it correctly. So maybe 7 month old and weighing 7 kilos, and the birth weight is 3.2. If that's correct, okay, so I can now answer the question. Number one, the baby's weight is fine. Babies double their birth weight at 5 to 6 months. So if your 7 months old is weighing 7 kilos, I'm not worried about it. That's fine. The mucus in the stool depends on what you're feeding your baby with. So you didn't really give us much information about that. Is this what is the food, and but you also worry about weight. So the food that your baby is eating is important. We hope you are still breastfeeding your baby. We hope you're giving variety of food as complementary food, and not just a particular formula and pap or particular formula and cereals. So you have to look into that. And also, I still try taking any drugs, because these are things that can affect the stools. So the food the child is eating, the drinks the child is having, drugs, and even sometimes the drugs that you are taking as well as a mother, if you're breastfeeding, it can cause that. We're not really particularly worried about mucus in stool, as long as the child is not passing frank mucus, like the child passing only mucus or mucus with blood and no stool in between. We usually don't worry about a little bit of mucus in the stool, but we worry about if the baby chugs only the mucus, or the baby is passing the mucus and there's blood inside, or it looks brownish, because sometimes the blood would have changed a little bit. So when you're seeing it, it may look brownish and all that. Those are the things that worries us again. But we also have to ask you, are you giving your baby iron supplements, blood tonic? Because that can also affect the color of the stool. That can also give you that picture of mucus. So a little bit of mucus in the stool, as long as it is not the only thing or mixed with blood, we're not going to worry about it. Make sure your baby is breastfeeding. Make sure your baby is taking age appropriate complementary food, and the weight is not too bad. Just keep feeding well. BB Hawker, good evening. My baby is 6 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, 6 days. She has been having this hotness for about 2 weeks now. All right, that is when you say hotness. So is your baby having fever? And if your baby is having fever, have you get a thermometer? Have you measured it? Because a lot of mothers will say, "Oh, my baby is having hotness, having fever," and then they will tell us, at least thank God they did measure it with a thermometer, but the temperature is 37, or the temperature is 36, or the temperature is 37.2. Or like, that is not fever, that is normal. So usually for me, I always want the mother to check the temperature, and luckily these days, we don't need those mercury thermometer that only the nurses can check and read. You have digital thermometers everywhere. You even have the infrared one that you don't need to touch it. So just get any of them, but preferably the digital thermometers that you can put either under the armpits or inside the tongue and read out the figures. So your baby has fever. Fever starts from 37.5 and above. Anything above 37.5, that is fever. Okay, so then if the baby actually has fever, then the question is, what is the cause of the fever? So we want to make sure, first, sometimes it could be as simple as the fact that you are overdressing your baby. For example, the weather is hot and you're wearing all these extra layers and wearing caps and mittens and socks. And sometimes you just need to shed all those excess weights off the baby, and the temperature comes down to normal. Even dehydration can make the baby to be hot. You just need to give them water to drink, or let them breastfeed, and that's all you need to do. But if the child is really having persistent fever, you give paracetamol. And if it's going on for more than a day or two, so I'm really worried about this fever of 2 weeks, and the way you ask your question shows as if it is not a big deal, but it's a big deal if a child has had fever for 2 weeks. So I'm hoping that maybe the child doesn't really have proper fever and you just think your baby is wrong. But if your baby has actually been having fever, please, it shouldn't be going to 2 weeks. After 2 days, please, you have to get to the hospital. Let them do proper evaluation of the child. Let us know, we'll ask you questions, we'll examine the baby, we will do some blood tests, urine tests, whatever we need to do. So please, you have to take your child to the hospital. Fever should not be going on for 2 weeks. I'm worried about that. So, but you can let me know in comments whether you are worried. I mean, whether you've checked the temperature, and then I will tell you what to do. And while I'm on that question, let me just quickly chip in that fever is not um it's not synonymous with malaria. So in Nigeria, we tend to think every fever is malaria. Fever, malaria. In fact, we even call it malaria fever. So fever is just a descriptive word. It's just saying the body of the baby is hot. It has not told us anything about the cause of the fever itself. So fever doesn't really, it's not a diagnosis. It's just a explanation that this child's body is hot. So the question we need to now ask is, what is making the child's body to be hot? Is this child having malaria? Is the child having urinary tract infection, hair infection, infection anywhere, other medical problems? So, and don't always assume every fever is malaria, because people like, oh, I've treated the child malaria, but child fever is still going on. As if, why should the fever still be going on because I've treated malaria? That is making an assumption that malaria is the only thing that will make the child to be having fever. It is not true. So I know malaria is common in Nigeria. We always think malaria for every fever because that's our number one condition. But there are so many other conditions, especially in children, that can cause fever apart from malaria. So don't just start treating the children with malaria drugs without knowing first the cause of the fever. Ideally, we've been trying to emphasize is that please don't start treating malaria until your child has seen a doctor and they've known the cause of that fever. I know some doctors who they just start the malaria treatment, but we pediatricians are begging you that let's know first what is causing that fever before we start treating anybody with anti-malaria. Okay. Okay, there's so many questions on Instagram, but I need to answer them quickly because they will disappear. BB Hawker, okay, I think I've answered your own. Lovely Spicy Diver, 4-year-old is refusing to eat egg. What can I substitute with the egg? It's not compulsory for the child to eat egg. There are so many other protein. There's meat, there's fish, there's chicken. Any protein is fine. The child does not necessarily have to eat egg. It comes and goes. She sucks her hand and lips, bring her a lot of speed. The sucking of hands started 2 months ago, so I did malaria test for 1+. We treated it, but the hotness. Okay, so if you've taken the child to the hospital, they've done the malaria test, the child was treated for malaria, though most of that 1+, I don't think the child has malaria. You have to go back to the hospital. Go back to the hospital and let them do further evaluation of the child. Then you said, what is the best use for baby always having cancer, cough, and all that? So the best thing to do is to prevent it. It is not normal for your 6-month-old to be having cough, catarrh, and no, it is not normal. So it is not what should you be using to treat it. I want to focus on your baby should not even be having it at all. So if your baby is having cough, catarrh, what is it that the child is exposed to that is making, because most children 6 months old is at home, so that child is getting cough and catarrh from other people, either the siblings who are going to school, yourself, or people who are coming to visit you, or your practices. So you need to focus on prevention. One, breastfeeding that baby. Even when your baby is 6 months old and it's now on complementary feeds, your baby still needs to take breast milk. Breast milk gives you a lot of vitamin A, they protect the IgA, and they protect the baby against respiratory infections generally. Make sure your baby is not exposed to fumes in the kitchen, fumes from your generator, fumes from cooking, burning wood, smoking. If anybody is smoking in the house, please, they should not smoke inside the house with a baby. Fleeting the house, all those things. Those are things that irritate the baby's airway and that can make them to have all these respiratory infections. Make sure that you take them for the immunization. Some of the immunization we give also help protect children against all this respiratory infection. If the weather is cold, keep them warm, give them warm liquid to drink and things like that. So those are the things you need to do. More importantly, keep them away from people who have respiratory infections. So that is what you need to do. There's not normal for a child to keep on having cough, catarrh, and all that. And please don't give any pecan syrup, don't give any so-called teething powder. So you'll be having cough and catarrh or fever has nothing to do with teething. So because that's what they are trying to imply by telling you to go and give pecan syrup or whatever. They are making an assumption that is teething problem. It is not eating, so don't give. So temperature of 37.8 is a little bit high. So that is fever, and you need to, like I said, if you've been to the hospital before, if your child is having catarrh and having fever, that is not malaria, okay? That's some more like a respiratory infections. It's most likely maybe a viral infection, which will go on its own. But more importantly, you just need to make sure you're keeping the baby safe and all that. Okay, let me just come back to my Facebook. I think Instagram people took me on a wild chase there, but we finally get to the end of it. Mabel, would you? My 2 year, 2 months has enlarged adenoids. How do I manage it? Because you find it difficult to breathe. So, who made the diagnosis of the enlarged adenoids? Because if your baby has enlarged adenoids and the baby is struggling to breathe, then you need to see your ENT doctors, and they may have to take them out if it's really bad, if it's really disturbing the child. Is it making the child to stop breathing at night? They will mouth breathe normally. There's nothing you can do with that, because when they have adenoids, it's blocking the airway. When did I talk about that? I think yes, I did talk about it last Thursday when I talk about noisy breathing, and I mentioned adenoids. So this one, so that's why they mouth breathe, because they need to open up. The hair coming through the nose won't be enough for them. They need it to come through the mouth as well. But if it's really bad, if it's really causing a lot of problem, we have to take it out. That's the only thing. There's something else we can do about managing adenoids. Either we wait for it to go on its own, which can happen by the time the child is about 4 to 6 years old. But if it is really giving the child a lot of issues, surgery only is the way forward. All right. But please see your ENT doctors and let them know, and they can advise whether it's big enough for them to worry, or they can watch and wait for now. Okay, Joyce, good evening. My baby boy, 1 year, 10 months, doesn't chew and swallow. Yeah, some children don't like to chew, they swallow. It's okay. There's nothing to worry. As long as make sure that you give them soft food, make sure it's something cut into tiny pieces so that at least they don't choke on it. So that's it. But your 2 year, almost 2 year, we should be eating family food. All right, so they should be eating family food. Once the food is smooth to swallow, it throws up. So some children have some sensory, which is similar to the question somebody was asking me at the beginning. So it's a sensory thing for them. It's about the texture. So your child likes things that are smooth and other, and most likely maybe this child was left long on cereals and pap, because that's what normally happens. A lot of us sometimes we just convenient for us to just give these cereals that we buy and just mix it and give it to children. So we were not challenging them early enough, so they are just so eat all this smooth thing. They don't want anything with any roughness or texture that is not smooth, and that is the problem. But the solution is still to get the child to do it, because it's going to be 2 years old. It can't keep having purees and only cereals things that are smooth. So you need to get them to do it, but you have to do it gradually. So you start from matching the food, and instead of blending, you go to matching. Then you start giving them solid, small bits. You may have to cut it very tiny, soft, but you have to get the child to take it and let them take it a little bit at a time. So, but there's no way around it. It's just that this thing should have been done right from the time of people. About 9 months, we expect them to start taking food that have not so smooth texture, coarse texture. By the time they're about 1 year, we expect them to be taking real solid. So if you delay it to that time, then it becomes like a difficult thing for some children. But the solution is still to challenge them. After a while, the child will get used to it. So you have to try, because at 2 years old, we want them to be on family diet. We don't want them to be taking only pap, and get rid of bottles. If you are still doing bottle feeding of pap, that's another thing. We should get rid of bottles. We shouldn't even do bottle at all. But sometimes children that are also left along on bottles, they struggle with that, because they just want something they can suck on, and that is not good at all. But it's a gradual process. If you still struggle with it, you can see a dietitian. They can help you around that as well. Chinoza, my sister child will be 1 year this month. She cannot stand. What can she do? Nothing. Like you said, we're not too worried. We expect just about one year. But if the child is not standing, it may just be a little bit late. Is this child crawling? Is this child sitting? Does this child have neck on? If the other milestones are there, we will just watch and see the child catch up later. But if the child is also not crawling, not sitting, yes, this child has developmental delay. That's the one that needs to see a pediatrician. But if the child is not walking by 18 months, then you can come to see us at the hospital. But 18 months is our cutoff for walking and all the standing walking. Okay, can I add sugar to my 1 year, 2 months old baby? Can you add sugar to your baby? No, don't add sugar to the baby. Do you mean add sugar to the baby's pap or whatever? Okay, and we get a lot of questions about this sugar and pap and all that. Okay, let's just settle it once and for all, because I think we've done that before, but I don't know who started the information that you should never give sugar to babies, you should never add sugar to their pap. And I always ask them, yourself, when you take your pap, you add sugar to it. And most of you do add sugar to your own pap or honey or something to sweeten it. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with adding sugar when you're making your baby's pap. It is about giving it taste. It is not like you should now be giving the child sugar to eat every second. And secondly, we don't want the child to be taking only pap. So if the child is taking pap maybe once every 2 days or 3 days, and you have sugar to eat, that's fine. The problem is when you only give your child pap 24/7 for the day, and of course you have to, so then it become an issue. But there's nothing wrong with adding sugar, a little bit of sugar. Moderation is the key word. The same thing with salt. Some people will say, oh, don't add salt to your baby's food. It is not true. You can add enough salt to taste. The food that you give to children must have taste. And this is the issue we're having, because after a while they say, oh, baby is not eating. Why would the child eat the food when it is so tasteless, when it has nothing? I mean, how do you taste it? Do you taste your food yourself? Do you think you will like it if there's no salt, if there's no sugar? So it is okay to add sugar to pap to give it taste. It's okay to add salt to the rice or the yam or the potato, whatever you're cooking, to give it taste. The key word, moderation, a little bit, just to taste, just to sweeten it. Okay, if you don't want to use that, you can use natural sweeteners. So for example, there are dates. Date is a fruit and it's available in powder. Some people make it into syrup. You can use that. It's a natural sweetener. It will give the same effect. Even some of this formula, because they're already sweetened, some of them already have sugar in them, you can use this with the pap as well, and you don't need to add sugar as long as it has taste. So that is the key word. All right, what we say you should not use is honey. Please don't use honey for children less than 1 year old, because children less than 1 year old, if you give honey to them, they can be exposed to what we call botulinum toxin, which can lead to a very fatal condition called infant botulism. So those are the ones that you should not give honey to. After 1 year, they've developed some enzymes that can digest it, so they will be fine. So those are the issue around pap, sugar, blah blah blah. No, so it is not like don't do at all. The key word is moderation, and the key word is variety. We don't want the child to be taking only pap and sugar and milk 24/7, every day, every week. No, that's not what we want. The child should have variety. There should be time for yam, there should be time for potato with the chicken or with the egg or with a little bit of maybe beans or all those things. Mix up. We're still going to have a whole teaching on complementary feeding. We always do it every year, but we still do it again. But we also have our guide session. Please go through those things, understand the principles. That's the key thing about food, about sweetening, because we get that question a lot. So I hope that is helpful for Muna Chimso. All right. Okay, can you add sugar to your baby's pap? Okay, I assume this is the pap that you want to add sugar to and not the baby. All right. I just make sure I didn't miss out any person on Instagram. None yet. Okay, Fumilayo. Oh, we have just 1 minute more. My 3-year-old started complaining of pain in the hair. Okay, I didn't appear. Okay, I think you mean it didn't appear there's an object in it. I give a profane, it stop. Is there any reason to take to hospital? Okay, so just if the pain has stopped, just watch it for now. But if the child starts complaining of pain again, and maybe when you pull on the hairs, you can actually feel, the child can feel pain, or you see any discharge from the hairs, then you have to take to the hospital. But if there's no more pain, it's okay. You can just watch for now. You don't have to go to the hospital straight away. Deborah, my 5-year-old has swollen, painful lymph nodes on the throat and under the jaw. Okay, but if you don't have to ask the question, so you need to take the child to the hospital. We need to know what is causing the swelling of the lymph nodes and the, because when lymph nodes are swollen and painful, they are telling you there's an infection going on somewhere around the areas. So if it's around the throat, then there must be an infection going on around the throat area of the teeth or the gums, areas that lymph node is draining. So you need to go to the hospital and let them quickly examine the child and advise you appropriately. My 2-year-old is here to speak fluently. He calls mommy and daddy by see you, what's up, baby, poo poo, wee wee. Do I have anything to worry about? How old is baby? 2 years, 3 months. 2 years should be combining 2 words together, and I can't see any combination of words in your example. So please see a speech therapist. Sometimes there's no problem. Sometimes it just means we just need to keep an eye, but at least we can give you advice on this is what you should do and to improve your child's language development. And after a while, some children just catch up and they're fine. But sometimes it may be the first sign of a bigger problem that we need to do further assessment for. So I'm not saying it's a major problem or not, but I would rather recommend that you see a speech therapist so that they can assess the baby properly, because sometimes parents worry a lot about the speech, what the child is saying, but there are many things we look out for when we're doing assessment. We're also looking for what the child is not saying. We're looking for the child's understanding of instruction. We're looking for the child's play. How does the child play? Pretend play, cooperative play. We're looking at the child's social interaction. So we're looking at so many things that parents may sometimes not take note of. So it's always a good idea to see the specialist and let them advise appropriately. Okay, yeah, it's not, is it normal for 2-year-old not talking yet? It is not normal, definitely. A 2-year-old should be talking, should be combining at least 2 words together. So like mommy, biscuit, mommy, go, 2 words together. So you can actually hear good. I hope the doctor did a hearing test. So the child should have a hearing test, but if you are sure the child can hear, that's good. But the child needs to have a speech therapist to evaluate the child. A 2-year-old should be talking. A 2-year-old is not talking, I'm definitely worried about it. And that child needs to see a speech therapist first. May end up seeing a developmental pediatrician, but start with the speech therapist. My baby keep having recurrent boils, okay? We have been to the doctor, okay? They said we are lacking a particular vitamin in the body. Which vitamin? So you should ask the doctor which vitamin. I'm not sure whether it's vitamin the doctor said. Maybe you didn't really understand the word doctor used. It's possible, but it's possible that there's something missing in the child's body that is explaining the recurrent boils. So, but you need to go back to the doctors, and they may want to refer you to specialists like pediatrician who have special interest in things we call hematology, immunology, and those are the ones they will do more extensive tests that are not so common to know why. But more importantly, you also work on prevention and washing, regular and washing, hygiene, change clothes every day, regular baths and washing, and all. Just do your own general hygiene first, and then you still need to see the doctors. And always make sure you complete your treatments. Don't use half and leave half. Even when the boiler disappears, you must complete your antibiotics so that the child doesn't develop resistance. 11 months doesn't have any teeth. Don't worry. Just wait until the child is 1 year and then see the dentist. But it's okay. It's perfectly normal. Some may not have their first set of teeth until they're about 13 months old. It's just a normal variation. We're not worried about it, but don't worry, they will have it eventually. Asikia George, good evening. 1 year, 3 months old is refusing anything, taking anything that is not period. I think I just answered something similar. If you are doing bottle feeding, just get rid of that bottle first and stop doing the period. You can go first to matching and all that, and then gradually, because by 1 year we want them to be on solid. So but if you have left them too long on the periods, then it's every new thing is always a challenge for some children. That does not mean we should not introduce them to something new. We just have to be patient with them and be persistent, and after a while they will get it and then they will do it. So just be patient and all that. It's not unusual. I always parents worry when children don't take to things straight away, but it's normal. It's a normal human behavior that you don't take into things straight away. So you just have to be patient and they will get there. All right. Last, I think this will be my last question. Um, what is the first thing we can give 9 months old when they fall and hit their head? Oh my, please don't let them fall and hit their head. I think the first thing I want to say is that that should not be happening. Okay, babies that cannot walk, babies that are still being carried, they should not be falling and hitting their head. We take it personal with you as parents when that happens, because that's our fault as parents. That is lack of supervision. It's a lack of supervision when a non-mobile child is falling and hitting their head. It means somebody is not doing what they should be doing. They are not monitoring that baby. You should be monitoring its 9 month old baby. They should not be falling. They should not be hitting their head. You should not be putting them on surfaces that they can fall from. They should not be sitting on the couch and chair without an adult with them. All right, it's better to put them on the floor, on the mats or wherever, the playpen, so that way they can't fall when they're already on the floor. So falling means somebody did something and they were not supervising the babies. So that is the first thing. Okay, if it has happened, you can apply ice pack. Please don't massage. Don't massage when babies fall, whether 1 year, 9 months, whatever. Don't massage. A lot of parents do that. So what happens is that when the child fall and hit their head, it's bleeding. They are bleeding inside the scalp or whichever area the fall has happened. When you massage, you make them bleed the more, and the swelling gets bigger. So don't massage. Just put ice pack. Ice pack will stop the bleeding and the swelling eventually will go down. All right. I know we grew up with that mindset that we have to massage everything. We have to apply rub, apply shear, but no, it's actually the wrong thing to do. Just apply ice pack. Just get cubes of ice, wrap it in a handkerchief or something, and just put it gently. A few seconds, take it off, put it again, and you can do that intermittently like that. You can give them painkillers, paracetamol, and just watch. If the child is vomiting, if the child is acting drowsy, if the child is unconscious, if the child is bleeding from the ears or the nose, if the child is having plain water coming from the nose or the ears, that child has to go to the hospital, because that child may have sustained what we call a fracture of the skull bone, and that child needs to go to the hospital. Or the child has what we call head injury, concussion, and contusion, whatever, the child needs to go to the hospital. But if the child is otherwise crying and is fine, is playing, just apply your ice pack, give paracetamol, a couple of days, everything should be fine. But please, those no 9-month-old should be falling and hitting their head. And no, that should never. It's a never, must never happen event. So that is what she should do. 1 year, can I start give my baby adult milk from age of 1 year? They can take from age of 1 year. I think I've answered everybody's question. Instagram, I see something. Seriously, we are worried when they don't eat well. Okay, I guess that is in response to somebody saying a child is not eating well. Yeah, I agree with you. That's the number one question the pediatrician is asked. My baby is not eating. Yeah, it's natural for parents to worry about that. But sometimes we just have to be patient. Children don't always take to things, and I always like to give example to parents as well. Like, so I know some of us are very adventurous. You go to a brand new country and they cook whatever they cook and you just eat it. Some people are like that, but some of us, like me, I'm not going to be able to, I'm not that adventurous. So it will take me time to try something new and all that. So maybe some children are like that as well. So they've been used to breast milk and only breast milk, and suddenly you want to start giving them these different things. So you've got to have some little bit of patience with them. Offer it a little bit at a time, with a little bit of patience, and gradually we begin to try it, and gradually we get used to it. And that is why when you start complementary foods, the breast milk is still a major meal. It is not a replacement food. And I think that is where the frustration is coming from, because we think the child needs to take so much food. No, when they are just starting, they don't need to take so much food. They need to keep breastfeeding, and then they take a little bit at a time. But don't, another issue where the problem is we get stuck with them taking only the cereals, only the pap, only the milk, and then we forget that they need to eat the rice, the yam, the beans, the all the other food, the swallow, the veggies. So you need to make sure you start them early, and no bottle feeding of complementary feeds. Let them start eating with their spoon and with their cup and with their plate from 6 months. So they get used to it. Start giving them, by the time they're 9 months, start giving them finger food. Let them hold that banana in their hands and eat it. Let them hold the egg in their hands and eat it. Let them hold the akara in their hands and eat it from 9 to 10 months old. There's no reason why a 1-year-old should need only to take something smooth. It's because we fail to give them that opportunity when they should be trying all those things on their own. So those are little things that we need to remember. And if we leave it for too long, then it's always a challenge. But anything new is always a challenge. But with patience and persistence, we will get there. I hope that is helpful. All right. But there's no best treatment for cough and catarrh. Avoid cough and catarrh. Cough and catarrh in most children, no fever, no fast breathing, no difficulty with breathing. It's most time viral infection. It will go on its own. Key emphasis, just like everything we do on ATP, prevention, prevention, prevention. And I've talked about prevention. Keep the children warm, breastfeed, keep them away from people who have cough and catarrh, keep them away from fumes, smokes, cigarette smoke, wood smoke, kitchen smoke, all these fleas in the house. Keep children away from all those things. And, general hygiene and washing and all that, they'll be fine. If they have fever, fast breathing, difficulty with breathing with their cough and their catarrh, then you have to take them to the hospital. All right, my time is up. I need to go. All right, just remember, if you still have any questions, don't worry. Just go to Ask the Pediatrician Facebook group. I think you can see it on my back there. Okay, let me actually take off myself and you can see it. So go to our Facebook group and you can ask your questions there from Mondays to Saturdays. You can watch all the past episodes of this program as well on the same channel where you're watching right now, on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, even on our Instagram page. Now you can always watch it. And on Thursday, I'll be teaching on female genital mutilation. I love to talk about it because I think we need to talk about it, because some of us are still stuck in that culture that our children, our female children, our girls have to be circumcised. It is a crime. Must never happen events. Children, female girls, female children, girls should never be circumcised. So if you want to know why I said they should not be circumcised and why we are saying zero tolerance to female circumcision, then you want to join me on Thursday, 10 a.m. on this same platform, and I'll be taking a detailed teaching. And I believe at the end of that talk, you will never circumcise your girls again, and you will become an advocate with us to say no to female circumcision. It's a zero tolerance to it, and hopefully all the 3 million girls that are at risk of FGM this year will not be circumcised. So join me on Thursday, 10 a.m. and I will be doing a detailed teaching. We've done it before, but we'll do it again until this generation, from my generation, it has to end with us. There's no reason why anybody in my generation should carry that on. It has happened with our mothers. We shouldn't carry it on with ourselves and with our girls. So I'm really particular about we, the new generation, not perpetrating that terrible and dangerous practice. So join me on Thursday, 10 a.m. and I will talk about it on the same platform. And if you have any questions on FGM, on any issues, children health related, go to Ask the Pediatrician Facebook group and we'll be able to answer your questions from Mondays to Saturday. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful evening and see you again same time next week. Bye.